Hello, Sooner fans. Today's December 3rd. Oklahoma's played their last game of the season against LSU. The game wasn't even close, they weren't even competitive. And that's one of the things, as a fan, the only thing I ask is that my teams be competitive, and if they're not competitive, then that leaves me disappointed. I remember when Lincoln Riley left and the coaching search begun, and Venable's name is one that came up really fast. And, him and Jeff Levy, and because worked, they worked for us before, right? And they did good in the past. It seemed like a good hire in both cases. First two seasons, not too bad, a lot of the excuses for the shortcomings fell on Lincoln Riley, him leaving us high and dry and taking players with us, and a lot of players decommitted. Um, but still, I was on the fence. And I remember telling my son, I said, well, we'll find out. We'll know real soon here, because it either works or it doesn't work. And so where are we at now? We're like, I guess this is the third year, right? So we're 3 years into this thing with Venables. And, he got to pass the first 2 years, and out of the three, this past season was his worst year. And I remember last year when Jeff Levy left, I was of the belief that we needed to go out and find the best offensive coordinator that money could buy. But I think Venables and company, him and the director, athletic director, I think is involved in this, I'm assuming. Thought, hey, we got plenty of great guys in the organization. Let's hire from within. And that's what they did. They hired Seth Luttrell. I thought initially he was going to be co-coordinator with somebody else. Maybe he was. But and I know a lot of guys were hurt, and that's kind of sad when you're not moving at full strength. I know as a coach, if I got my full strength and I'm coming after you, and I feel really highly confident, right? And if I'm a little short, then if things really don't work out, it's really going to be, oh man, I didn't have everyone I needed, and that could be the case here. Unfortunately, I think as fans, it was like nothing worked. Nothing was right. The quarterback play wasn't on par. A lot of turnovers, a lot of turnovers. The second string quarterback, I thought he did pretty good, but eventually he began to struggle. And I don't know. I think as a coach, one thing you need to do is you need to come in, and especially as an offensive coach, you need to decide what your identity is going to be. You need to stick with it, right? And you not only do you stick with it. I mean, if you're going to be run heavy, then be run heavy. But the run's got to work. And I think with Seth Luttrell, it didn't matter if he wanted to be run heavy or pass heavy, go with the wide receiver screens or whatever. It seemed like defenses were able to run him out of whatever identity he tried to adopt, which is not good. You can't be successful if people are going to push you out of your identity, right? You don't have an identity if that's what's happening. If you want to run the ball and you can't run the ball and they won't let you run the ball. Reason why it's called an identity is you're gonna run whether they want you to run or not. Even though they know the run's coming, you're gonna run. And that's the type of coaching prowess you gotta have. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Seth Luttrell got fired, and I was really surprised at how fast a new offensive coordinator was named. And I guess Ben Arbuckle, I believe his name is going to be new offensive coordinator for Oklahoma. He's coming from, I believe, is it Washington State? And, Washington State, they've had some pretty decent teams. I definitely last year They were really competitive, had a great quarterback. So maybe this isn't a bad hire, right? I actually hope it's a good hire. And we'll find out soon here. Defensive wise, there's two things that Venables has been really good at. The recruiting has been off the hook. I hope he can continue to recruit at the high level he's been able to do. So that'd be great. I guess our greatest need is going to be on that offensive line. If you don't fix, though, I hear people talking about, he's bringing a quarterback with him. Like, people don't get it. I wish they'd let me coach. Let me coach. I'll fix it. Because it's not that hard. We're going to get some big boys up front. If you got an overpowering O-line, you really don't have, it doesn't really matter who you put behind them. You can put anybody back there, You don't have to have the number one running back in the nation if you got the top O-line in the nation. You don't have to have the number one quarterback in the nation if the O-line is out, is like that, right? These guys can run block and pass block, and there's lots of depth. You don't need to call on other people to perform miracles, because that's really what it got down to, It's like, hey, we can't coach nothing. We just need somebody to go in there and do a miracle. And frankly, that's a lot to ask. But my predictions here. Venables is a wonderful guy. I like his attitude. I like his personality. I even love his philosophy. But what I see that got him in trouble is I see it's the same thing that's going to continue to get him in trouble. And I think for that reason, he's not going to succeed. And that is, he's wired into the good old boy thing. Right? They got this culture thing, right? We want somebody who's going to come and fit into our culture. We want somebody, and people think like that. People all the time. I was on YouTube, this is going to be on YouTube, and this young, beautiful lady, she was young to me. She was 40 years old. That's young compared to where I'm at. And she's never been married, and she's single, and she still looks like she's 18, And they were asking her what did she want in a mate, and obviously she wanted everything, everything I can get, everything you can imagine, perfection. And when you look at her and what she brings to the table, she's in great health, she's fit, all of that, and she wants someone that can match her, that can bring what she's bringing to the table. And I think oftentimes when you think, and I'm using this as an example, I'm using her as an example, because oftentimes this is what you see with people, organizations. They want like-minded people. They want people that are like them. And I'm just here to say that that's not necessarily good. Maybe the best thing is someone that's everything that you're not. Opposites, as they used to say, opposites attract. Or when I look at my marriage, I'm divorced now, but the woman I was married to, we were totally different. But at the same time, that was the beauty of the whole thing. Because where she was strong, I was weak, and where I was strong, she was weak. And when we came together as a unit, we had everything. Because she had everything I didn't have, and I had everything that she didn't have. And when you start looking at coaches and a pool of coaches and who you want to surround yourself with, you're probably better off surrounding yourself with people who have diverse views and opinions and skills. They're good at things that you're not good at, right? You don't need to hire somebody that, in Venables' case, he doesn't need another mastermind on defense, right? Or if he does, he needs, and I hope he did hire one that has a different strategy and approach than he has. Now, some people look at that and say, all it's going to lead to is conflict. It could. But you know what? There's good conflict and there's bad conflict. The good conflict is where you talk through stuff. You can call it an argument if you want. You don't necessarily have to argue. You can argue without arguing. Some people